In this video, I am going to talk about the definition of cohabitation, why people are doing it, why it is not helping, whether it is legal or not, whether it is acceptable among Africans or not, and the Bible's view on cohabitation. Hello everyone, welcome to Kumasi Theologian. On this channel, we discuss social issues from a Christ-centered perspective. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Cohabitation is when two people who are not married live together as if they are married. Two romantic partners who have not performed the marriage rites but are living together like husband and wife are cohabiting. Put in other words, cohabitation is when you are staying with your partner and present yourselves to the public as husband and wife without the involvement of your parents, without the payment of a dowry, and without the blessing of a pastor. This is the definition of cohabitation. We cannot ignore the topic of cohabitation because many unmarried Christians are staying with their romantic partners, some of which are even church leaders. So, why are people engaging in cohabitation? There are four main reasons why people want to live in a sexual union although they are not married, and these reasons I'm about to give are mainly with respect to our African communities. People enter into cohabitation for financial reasons. For example, women who cannot afford basic needs such as food, shelter, and clothing cohabit with men who can provide these needs for them. Also, some men don't have the money to perform the marital rites. They find weddings to be expensive, whether it is customary or church wedding or both. Therefore, they would rather stay with the woman like she is his wife than pay the wedding expenses. Some couples enter into cohabitation because they want to know whether they are compatible before they marry. In this case, it is more or less a trial marriage. That is, they are not sure whether they will marry, so they test their relationship by staying together to assess each other's behavior. Some men also use this to test the woman's fertility. They make sure they have a baby with the woman before marrying her. Commitment is another reason why people cohabit. They want to enjoy all the benefits of marriage without putting in the commitment which marriage requires. It is easy to break up with your cohabiting partner without much issues. If tomorrow you decide to stop staying with your unmarried partner, who is really going to hold your neck? Also, there are people who have decided they will not marry but will cohabit because of the problems they see in other people's marriages. They don't think marriages work, so they just don't want to have a marital commitment. The last main reason why people get into cohabitation is individualism. They do not want to be part of a social group or adhere to the standards of that group. They emphasize their individual choices over the ideals of the group and therefore move into situations such as cohabitation. An example is people who don't want to stay with their family or a particular group of people or a person, so they move into their partner's place. So with such reasons, why is cohabitation a bad idea? Why is cohabitation not helpful? After some time, cohabiting partners may decide to marry, but research from Africa, Europe, and the US have shown that when they eventually get married, the risk of them getting divorced is higher than that of couples who did not cohabit before marriage. Because a couple lived together before marriage, the tendency for them to dissolve their marriage is higher than couples who did not cohabit before getting married. This is something serious to consider. A 2021 study done across 9 European countries by Martin Kredel and Zuzana Zelensikova revealed that after getting married, the attitude of people who used to cohabit changes, which then affects the quality of their marriages. And this is so because they tend to have a favorable position towards divorce. What this study is saying is that after a cohabitation turns into marriage, the partners develop an attitude which makes them more open to divorce than people who never cohabited would. In other words, cohabitation changes people. It changes them in a bad way because after experiencing cohabitation, people are more likely to agree on a divorce than people who never cohabited. Another reason why cohabitation is not helpful is that it produces emotional stress. Depression, loneliness, and social stigma are all some of the challenges people engaging in cohabitation go through. Not that married couples do not go through the same, they do, but they do not experience such emotional stress because they are married. For instance, people do not get depressed because they are married. They get depressed because their spouses are putting up some undesirable attitudes. But with cohabitation, the mere fact that one is in such a relationship produces emotional stress on its own, basically because of religious and social values. Cohabitation is a bad family model. Look, if the moment you see someone's daughter and you like her, all you have to do is to grab her to your place, stay with her, and make her produce babies for you without going through the proper social procedures of marriage, how will our societies be? You take care of your daughter, take her through education, and at the end of the day, you get disrespected like this as a parent. Is that how we want our families to be built? Cohabitation is a wrong way to build families. Moreover, it is a wrong example for children to follow. When you cohabit, the probability that your children will do the same is high, because they will learn it from you and will normalize it even though it is not a good thing. Cohabitation has a higher rate of domestic violence than married couples do. Unmarried couples living together as married couples have higher verbal, physical, or emotional abuse than married couples. Look, the man never came to your home to ask for your hand in marriage, so he's not accountable to anyone in your family. In that case, if he abuses you on the blind side of the law enforcement agencies, he can easily go scot-free. Cohabitation is not beneficial because it has or produces low commitment. When you are married, you work hard for the marriage to succeed. Married couples make emotional, financial, and all sorts of sacrifices to make their marriages work. But in cohabitation, the commitment is low, and this makes it easy to dissolve a cohabitation. Moreover, the low level of commitment results in a lower quality of relationship than married couples. I came across Ron Macaulay's MPhil thesis with the University of Ghana on the topic Cohabitation Among Young Adults of the Global Evangelical Church in Ghana. In his work, he found out that cohabitation has a negative effect on the church also. He stated, and I quote, "It had been indicated that cohabitation had negative impacts on the church, such as shortage of qualified leaders, slow spiritual growth of the church, and less patronage of weekday programs. Also, the practice of cohabitation negatively had effects on cohabitants, such as bad treatment from their partners, no cordial relationship between the two families who were not involved to give their seal of approval, and lack of parental blessing." End of quote. Is cohabitation illegal in Africa? I'm going to talk about the legality of cohabitation in Africa, and they relate to the countries Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, Tanzania, and South Africa. And I believe they will pretty much be the same for other African countries. Nevertheless, citizens of the countries I've mentioned will have to confirm with a lawyer, because what I'm about to say is not legal advice, but only meant for educational purposes. In Kenya and Tanzania, cohabitation is not legally recognized as marriage. However, when the couple live together for a long time, it is regarded as presumption of marriage, under which the man and the woman do not have the legal right to file for divorce or separation. In Ghana, Nigeria, and South Africa, even if your parents agree to the cohabitation, before the laws of these countries, it is still not recognized as marriage. And specifically in Ghana, if you promise to marry a woman but end up not marrying her, she can sue you for breaking that promise. In all these countries mentioned above, except Nigeria, if you cohabit with a woman for some time, she's entitled to your property when you die. So if you don't have any intention of marrying the woman you have stayed with for so long, know that when you die, she has some rights over your property. In Nigeria, there is no law which covers the division of properties for cohabiting couples. And as I said, you may have to find a lawyer to confirm these for yourself, because these are not legal advice that I'm giving. In our African culture and traditions, marriage is an honorable thing. It is one of the cycles of life. In each cycle of life, rites are performed to initiate the person. These cycles or rites are naming ceremonies, puberty rites, marriage, and funeral rites. Traditional African society frowns on cohabitation. In Africa, any man cohabiting with any woman is insulting the family of the woman. Moreover, in some African societies, when the man dies, the family of the man will not allow the woman to mourn as a widow if the man never married her. even if they had kids. As Africans, we value virginity, abstaining from sex before marriage, and faithfulness in marriage. The traditional African view is that the woman must stay at her family home for a man to come and marry her before she moves out of the home. It is an honor for a man to come to your home and pay the bride price before taking you to his home. In Africa, unless the naming ceremony of a child is done, the child is not a person, it is still a thing. That is why when a baby dies, we do not perform funeral rites because it is not regarded as a person yet. The same applies to all the other cycles of life, including marriage. Unless the marital rites are performed, you are still not married. You do not have the traditional social status and title of a wife. Whether you love each other or not, traditionally, you are still not a wife. That is why you have to stay away from cohabitation. It is against our African values. It is very simple. When it comes to the Bible, cohabitation is not allowed. This is so because sex outside of marriage is a sin. Weddings in the Bible era were such that the groom goes to prepare a place in his father's house for the bride before the wedding. And when he is done, he goes to perform the wedding ceremony and takes the woman to his house which he has built. That is why Mary was not staying with Joseph. Cohabitation was not allowed. But you may ask, can people cohabit if they love themselves? The answer is no. The first person to love is God. There are two great commandments. Jesus said that the first commandment is greater than the second. The first is to love God. Loving God is a command which is greater than loving your neighbor. If you love God, you will obey His command to live a holy life. How do you live a holy life when you are fornicating? Sex before marriage is a sin. The Bible makes it clear. Hebrews chapter 13 verse 4. Marriage should be honored by all, and the marriage bed kept pure, for God will judge the adulterer and all the sexually immoral. 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 18 through 20. Flee from sexual immorality. All other sins a person commits are outside the body, but whoever sins sexually sins against their own body. Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies. But then some people may object. What if they live together but don't have sex? Ephesians chapter 5 verse 3. But among you, there must not be even a hint of sexual immorality, or of any kind of impurity or of greed, because these are improper for God's holy people. Even if they are not committing sexual sin physically, they are doing it emotionally. Besides, staying with someone you are physically attracted to increases sexual temptations. Joseph ran away from sexual temptations. He did not cohabit with it. We should stop giving excuses for sin. We should be fighting sin and not trying to adjust our thinking and lifestyle to accommodate it. If you claim to be a Christian, then live the Christ-like life. You must live up to the moral and ethical standards Jesus expects of Christians. Anything short of that is hypocrisy. We should not allow our circumstances and culture to dictate our actions. Rather, we should live out the Christ-like life so that our society will be changed. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel to get more content like this.